Hey guys, Horace here, and today I'm back with another video. Today I'm going to be showing you how to take vanilla world terrains and then turn them into more manageable terrains for you to change or put custom builds on, or whatever you'd like to do. If you're working in the marketplace and need to blend custom terrains into vanilla terrains so that you can have the infinite world feel, then this will be a very, very good video to you because it's actually rather easy. It just takes a little learning and getting used to how to do it. So basically, one of the primary reasons why you can't just start building your terrains is, let's say that we have like a GoBrush, which is a terrain plugin that allows you to just kind of pull the terrain up wherever you want. And as you can see, it turns it and makes it really, really ugly because it's also pulling up the trees. So we want to get the terrain into a more manageable form, essentially, to allow us to start using GoBrush and you know, all of the terrain plugins, you know, so that it gets easier for us. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to go get ourselves a bindable tool. I'm thinking gold axe and a diamond axe. Actually, you know, I'm going to go with a diamond hoe. The second tool will come in use a little bit later, but for right now, what we're going to be using is the gmask. Gmasks are very, very simple. What we can do to visualize how Gmasks work is by doing such as Gmask and then, let's say, oak leaves. Okay, so now basically, now that I've put the oak leaves ID into the Gmask, now I'm only going to affect anything that's a Gmask. So for example, if I do replace near 51, then it's only going to affect the oak leaves. Whereas if I turn the Gmask off and do the same command, as you can see, everything gets turned into stone, and that's not what we really want. Now, I have in the description below these really long Gmasks, which is basically just a list of a ton of blocks that allows you to only affect whatever those blocks are in the world. So it's not going to affect stone, it's not going to affect your grass, but what it will affect is the birch trees and the oak trees and all of the plants and the grass and the ferns and all of that. Now, I have 3 commands because the commands are so big and bloated that you might not be able to fit all of the IDs, like, for example, all of the water and all of the flower IDs if you want to do a flower forest or something like that, where there's pink tulips and orange tulips and blue tulips, and there's just a lot of extra stuff that I can't fit into the one gmask command. Now you're saying, how do we actually get rid of the trees? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do br sphere 0, which is just the numerical ID for air, and then 50. Now, that's going to depend on how good your server is, but basically 50 is just the size brush that I use. So for example, if I now press this down, you can see the giant circle, whereas if I did 20, then it's going to be a much, much smaller circle. I do 50 because my server is powerful enough to do that. Now, one of the questions that I get asked when I'm doing this, especially like on a live stream or something like that, is obviously now that I can do replace near 150 and then I could just say 0, I could just replace it all. I wouldn't even need to use a brush. But the problem that I get all the time is there's these hard borders that I just really, really don't like having to deal with. And so what I do instead is I generally try to find a island or something that's surrounded by a lot of water, or let's say a plains biome, so that when I start, you know, deleting the area, I can kind of use the river as a boundary for the terrain that's going to be fully cleared and the terrain that might not be fully cleared and just going to stay its vanilla form. Again, you just kind of have to touch it up. I nixed the end of that tree right there, but basically you just kind of get a little closer until you snip the edges. Oh, that was too close. Just like that. It takes a little work, but then basically you can get this whole thing done pretty quick. I'm not going to be super careful, but basically there you go. Now you have pretty much the entire island or the section of terrain pretty much clear of all of the obstacles that we had before. And now you can see all of the crazy mountains in the new generation for the Caves and Cliffs update, which is just nuts to me. It just doesn't look like Minecraft that much anymore. I mean, with all these caves and like rivets, it's crazy how uneven all of this terrain is. Now we can move on to the next step. Okay, the next step is going to be using this brush where we're going to do BR sphere 133 and then again 50 because, you know, why not? And basically now if I tried to paste this, it's not going to do anything. So we need to change our gmask. So basically we're going to use an exclamation mark, which is basically the exact opposite of the other gmask where it's everything on this list is going to be excluded from the world edit. For example, if I just do exclamation mark 0, now it's going to affect every single block except for air. Because let's say if I put air, then when I pasted this, if I go down, you can see that it still keeps the grass and the stone and whatnot below it. As you can see, it didn't actually delete anything. And whereas if I do exclamation mark 0, now it's only going to affect the terrain, just like that. I might make it a little smaller, just because it's a pretty small terrain. Now you're probably gonna look at like, oh my gosh, there's water. And I do absolutely have a gmask to cover that. So basically you just go back to this other one, gmask, and then you can just get rid of all of the water. This is what I usually do. It gets rid of the seagrass too, all of the kelp, whatnot. And what this kind of allows me to do is it kind of allows me to go and get the entire island. So I will go all the way around and then I will do the old gmask and I'll use this and I'll just kind of go into the riverbed just like that. And voila, I can basically do the entire island just like that. You can also use the surface brush if you want as like an alternative, if you don't want the terrain to be changed under. It messes up a little bit with VOXELSNIPER, which we're going to be using in just a second, but that's pretty much okay. And just like that, we've kind of turned the section of terrain that we wanted to edit into a much more manageable looking terrain, which, you know, like, believe it or not, is where you want it. I mean, it's using one block makes your life so much easier, and I'll show you why. So for example, if I went and got the next tools, which are for VOXELSNIPER, then I can do something like this. So BBB, or BBB, there we go. So this is a brush, and then space, and then blend ball, and that's what that stands for. And then the B, and then 10, and that way you can do brush size. And for example, if I just started, you know, like smoothing, the arrow is going to be smoothing. As you can see, it doesn't really like dealing with corners very well. It just like kind of messes with the blocks, and so making it just one block means that it only has to do one block, which means it edits it just fine. Now, what I usually do with the gunpowder is I will make sure to turn off my gmask, and then I kind of fill the holes just a little bit, and then I'll go back over with the smooth brush, and just like that, it smooths out the terrain quite a bit. If you don't want this giant mountain, you could get completely rid of it, you know, but I just like filling the holes just like that, and you can kind of be a little spammy with it. You don't have to be like super careful with where you place it. You can kind of just go around filling the holes that you want to fill. If you don't want to fill the holes, that is also perfectly fine too. If you want to make them bigger, whatever. But yeah, basically the gunpowder will pull, and then the arrow will just kind of smooth it out. If you hold it too long, you'll get these really weird like 45-degree angles, which is not really what you want. So when you're placing or smoothing around, you kind of want to do like little circles, and so you get these more organic, natural shapes with what you're doing. I use an auto clicker to speed this process up, but you can also just jitter click to get this done a little quicker. And just like that, we've kind of got it to a much more reasonable thing, so that when I go and take my flint and I want to do some terraforming, I'm gonna actually size this brush up by quite a bit. I can basically just go boom, boom, and I can just really make it go up, and I don't have to deal with the trees or anything like that. And then I can just sort of smooth it out. I accidentally used my auto clicker, so it's going to go for a little while, and then of course you can just smooth it, or you can just select the entire thing just like so, and then /smooth, and voila, you've got yourself a mountain or a volcano or whatever you essentially want. Anyway guys, hopefully this helps. Again, the gmasks are in the description below. Anyway guys, thank you all so much for watching. Super simple, super easy. Peace.